Right. Hi, everyone. Everywhere else, I am live, and today is day 14 of 30 Day Live. You may be wondering what I need to sacrifice or what I've learned so far. Is that, for instance, my mom just made me a very delicious meal, like this multi course meal. Maybe I should ask her to go live with her cooking stuff. Probably would be more popular than talking about content creation and creative entrepreneurship. But I decided to leave lunch a little bit early and just to see what's going on. Hi, Mark. How am I doing? I am doing well. Today is one of those days I'm feeling really energized, and I'll tell you why. Because I just had this 2 hour powwow with my producer, Herman. You can actually see he's painting right there. That's him in the blue background, wherever you are, and feeling really energized. I want to really emphasize once again how important it is for us to work with the right people. And I'm just feeling so privileged to have found a small, mighty team who support me, who believe in what I do. And I see them as in this extension of my work beyond myself. So thanks for checking in. I don't always anticipate every day to feel the same. In fact, yesterday was maybe a couple of days ago with all the stuff that's happening in the house. Frankly speaking, I am a relatively new house owner since September last year. I've been warned by all my friends. And hello, Sydney, Australia. Oh my goodness. And I've been warned by my friends, homeowners, to say that, it's one thing to be a content creator, the other is to manage a home. And truly, it is just a ton of work. So I felt, frankly, to be a little beaten down by all the things that I had to deal with. But once again, my producer, Herman, reminded me today, among other people, to say, your home is like this, your life's work. There's always going to be something going on, which is precisely the same translated to an entrepreneurial journey. You really feel like the work is never done, that the work of developing yourself, as well as, any given project. I could even refer to a project that you started 6 months ago, a year ago, is probably never done. You look at your list to say, from a marketing perspective, from a messaging, from a content perspective, it's never ever done. So today I want to talk about YouTube growth because, as some of you guys already know, I truly believe that YouTube as a platform has tremendous opportunity. And let me just preface by saying that I'm not here to talk about if you want to go viral, how to find your next viral idea, how to be popular, how to be famous. That is not what I'm here to focus on. Instead, the message really is out there for independent creators and business owners, especially the small to medium sized business owners. And also, if you're currently watching on Instagram, I also recommend that maybe after this, you guys can also maybe meet me on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook, also under Feisworld, or simply send me a question to say, Faye, I'm too lazy. Send me the link where you're also sharing some screenshots of your income on YouTube in the past year. That's what I'm here to do. I want to show you guys really in the past, I want to say 1 year, 365 days, but maybe perhaps in the past almost 2 years since I've become a YouTuber, having YouTube to generate a significant income for me. So everything combined, I talked about it's around 30 to 40%, give or take. I'm also due to create another video before the end of the year, which is coming up very soon, to also talk about my income breakdown from YouTube, meaning YouTube advertising, just ads purely, but also my income through YouTube generated marketing interest, people hiring me on an hourly basis, project basis, retainer basis, all that jazz. The first thing first, you probably have heard this before, is how do you stand out from the crowd on YouTube? So the rumor is true that you have to eventually find a niche that you can thrive in. But the misconception is somehow we have this magic bullet, we have this magic lamp, can immediately predict what that means to us individually. But turns out that, just like you're witnessing throughout this process of my 30-day live, it takes time to understand actually what I'm here for, like my voice unique to the live stream versus something else, like versus my sit down videos versus my Zoom videos, my other how do you live stream videos. This is actually quite different. And some days I'm a little bit more energetic than the others. I think today, for instance, is one of my more, energetic days, I would say. So let me know in the comments below if you see any value that you've gotten this so far, any questions you want to ask, please, I will try to do them. I'll try to answer them live as much as I can. Now, speaking of finding your niche, here's what I learned. I also want to share frankly, like a recent failure or an area where I really felt like I could have done better, but it's really lessons learned. In the past year, since March, precisely March 2020, one video on YouTube took off for me. That video is how do you teach Zumba using Zoom? And in that moment, as you all know, especially in the states, where everybody's in trenches. It's the beginning of the pandemic. A lot of the fitness instructors, the ones I love and adore, just couldn't really find they need to teach online. Their gyms are closing. Some of them lost their jobs. That one video took off. So that from that one video, Mark, when I get to your question in just a second, from that one video, I had hundreds of comments. I help people solve a very specific problem, not a general Zoom 101 video, but how do you teach? How do you make audio work? How do you make video work? But audio is even more important, like the sound aspect of teaching Zumba. And that took off. And from the comment section, I then found 10 to 20 different video ideas. And guess what? They all took off because I went through the comments and found the common questions. So I'm going to pause for a second and answer a question live right now. So Mark says, so I have a homewares business called Australiana Feel. I like that name. Can I use YouTube to expand my business revenue and growth? Absolutely. And Mark, if you have a way to get in touch with me, I would encourage you to also maybe follow with hello@feisworld.com. I love where you're going with this because I feel like this video I'm creating today is literally targeted people like yourself. So number one, I definitely want to learn a little bit more about your business. But even before I opened up a web browser and started learning about it, I would say that, there's a tremendous opportunity. So think of how you differentiate yourself. So in the States, for instance, a lot of people will simply go to Target, go to Amazon, Target, or Home Goods, Walmart to buy their homeware. But as a new homeowner, I got to tell you that I did the same. I did not want to order plates and homeware on Amazon, but I was just so busy with everything, so I did. And frankly, I kind of regret it. I look at all the generic things that I got. I really wish I have something that has a personality, have a feel, they have stories. When I have guests, I haven't had a ton of guests just yet, but I'm someone who bought a house so I could tell stories. As you can see, my surroundings are all painting and different things I can really talk about. So really think about, connect with your inner self, with your kind of like your passion at the beginning as to why you started your business. And I'm just really curious. And I'm going to go to your website real quick to have a feeling for what it is. Oh, I also see right here on your website, you have Australia tea towel placemat. Oh, by the way, wonderful. I'm currently on that website right now. Thanks for sharing. And I have this feeling also. This reminds me as a unique business owner. I remember working with someone. I'm based in Boston, so northeast of the United States. I actually worked with a gentleman at an agency, and he's a designer, is actually an art director. And I remember that he actually was born and raised in southern part of the US. And he found a cohort of people who then moved to the northeast or northern part of the US because of job, because of maybe that's where their spouses are from, all that jazz. And they have this they sort of have this sensation that they wish they could reconnect with their origin. Hello, Malcolm. Halfway through, thank you. And I think that's a unique opportunity. I say this also because currently I have more than one connection, but two business relationships in Australia in a very unexpected way. And I know people based in Boston who come from, I think about the people I interviewed, Josh Green, all of these folks. They lived they were born and raised in Australia. They have that connection. So when they build homes elsewhere, they love to be able to see more things, like things that they maybe didn't even used to appreciate, like things that are very Chinese. And that's where I'm from, Beijing, China, that I have the cling of and desire to buy from business owners, to even have things shipped from China to here so I can see bits and pieces of that in my home. So this is one of many storylines and plots that you could consider when starting your YouTube channel. I think especially the case when now traveling hasn't really been all that easy for everyone. So that, I think that longing of connecting to your culture, especially as we mature, is something that's very, very real. But Mark, I would love to continue the conversation. I think YouTube is such a great opportunity. And then Malcolm here says, you used to live in Woburn. Yeah, even frankly, countries, different locations, geographies aside, I remember like I used to live in Newton, used to live in Boston, and now I live in the kind of the great Worcester area. And it's such a different sensation, different lifestyle. And there are things that when I travel back to Boston, which is only 45 minutes away, I tell people about things that are really unique in the area that I currently live in, the farmer's market, even like different places to shop. And, the way I dress, I talk probably even changed within the 1 year period. Um, but generally speaking, why is it a good idea to put small, medium-sized businesses, including you as a content creator and entrepreneur on YouTube? Is because outbound marketing, it is such a stressful job. How many of us get these calls and these emails every single day? I know I get a ton of them. Do you accept guest blogging? I get about 10 of those a day. Or Faye, I can really fix your business. I can make your website better. And you can tell from the emails like they didn't really study my website or who I am at all. So that's definitely a no-go. But when people stumble upon your business, find your business on YouTube. And for me, australianafeel.com.au is a very, you have a niche. You're not just a general homeware company. You're not trying to compete with the Walmart or the Amazon of the world. Then you can really share a unique story. And from your website, I can see that a lot of things are handmade, crafted, one of a kind, maybe even limited edition. That's what people are really into these days. So just keep that in mind. When they find you, because nobody want to be sold to once again, there's a unique opportunity where you can engage with them. You're not being pushy at all, but simply you're telling them a story and it's their choice to buy from you. So as a result, I feel like that's why, for instance, my YouTube channel was this helped me reach this new epiphany of not having to constantly sell myself. Because frankly, as a creator, I hate having to sell myself. I hate to convince people who are not ready for my business, who don't have the right budget, and I at a just wrong point of their purchasing journey. So speaking of purchasing journey, I have spoken and worked with so many businesses in the past 2 years as a result of them first watching my video on YouTube. Now I'm going to kind of cut the corner a little bit and cut to the chase of one thing I revealed earlier today. I had this conversation again with my producer Herman just a few hours ago, and I want to be really transparent and frankly be really being transparent, being very vulnerable with this next topic. It's the things I have learned, the mistakes I will avoid moving forward. So here's what happened. In 2020, my Zoom videos took off. It first started with the fitness, dance instructors. Then I created these videos called 12 tips every Zoom host should know. Then I had like 10 tips every Zoom participant should know. Then I did the 9 tips every Zoom webinar host should know. Those videos they kept taking off. I have made, probably close to $10,000 from the 12 Zoom host videos. But frankly, that's just how I am. And I know that I'm not alone in this. Is I know ultimately this live series that I'm not getting a ton of engagement on the 30-day live are the things I truly want to talk about, which is the system, the minimal viable system, and the limited number of software and the mindset that a content creator needs to know and have in order to pursue this journey in the long run, to make money, to understand what to do once you experience that dip. But not everybody necessarily in this moment sees me as the expert. And there are too many other people who are really, really successful, overnight success, who didn't have to spend, 2, 3, 5, 7 years as Faye did. I'm not here to talk about the shortcuts. So as a result, people are not tuning in. But same thing with Zoom. Google and YouTube for the past year or so, maybe don't see me as the number one expert, but I'm up there. Like when you search for Zoom for hosts, I am on the first page. So, relatively speaking, I'm the top 10, 12 people you might see. And as a result, oh, yes, Mark, absolutely. Thank you so much for reaching out. And as a result, I produce many more Zoom videos. And here's where sort of my ego and my impatience kicked in, which is I said, you know what? I am about the bigger picture. And so I don't want to maybe do this in the long run. What am I doing 2021 onto 2022? And also I kind of had that perfect excuse. It was whatever you're thinking about doing, go to Google Trends. That's a tool a lot of people don't use. And it's really, really helpful. I look at Zoom and I thought to myself, look at the trends that's coming down really in the past year or so with the vaccine in place, with the booster shots. A lot more people are going back to work. There's no future for Zoom anymore. I'm just going to pivot. So in June this year, my producer and I decided to create a tool we're really proud of called YouTuber Kit. So you can actually see it at youtuberkit.com. It's part of Feisworld Academy. We put in so much work. It's this like monster project where I talk about anywhere between getting started, content marketing, content creation, marketing, and monetization. Everything in greater details. But here's where I fell short. How many of the copies did I sell? I probably between then and now with mostly organic, not a ton of paid traffic. I probably would spend like between $300 to $600. Again, sharing all the data with you guys. $300 to $600 on marketing, the toolkit. Then I was hoping to use my YouTube channel itself with shorts to market the product. And it just didn't really get a lot of attention. I also talked about it via email lists and all that, and try to market to different audience. So far, I probably sold, 1 to 2 dozens copies. And by the way, it is $200. So price point wise, I thought I was being really reasonable given how many, products, spreadsheets, toolkits you can use right away, and all that. I felt like, wow, it's really worth it. But here's why it felt flat. Given that, compare and contrasting the work that I put in, the passion versus how many I sold, not hundreds, but dozens, is because while I was riding the wave, the algorithm related to Zoom, I wasn't really wanted to focus on Zoom anymore. I shifted my attention from Zoom away from Zoom. Instead of creating a course for Zoom webinar, I said, you know what? I'm going to do something I always wanted to do. And I hope my audience will follow on. That was YouTuber Kit. And people didn't. And YouTube algorithm absolutely did not promote that type of content at all. Because from an audience perspective, to say $200 isn't super cheap, I can't really opt in for $10 and cancel. It's not a subscription-based product that I launched. But on the other hand, it's also that there's so many million subscriber YouTubers are releasing, launching their YouTube Academy, their YouTube how-to courses. They're sharing their success, overnight success. Therefore, my product, the YouTuber Kit, just didn't really get enough eyeballs on it. So fell flat, and I'm not embarrassed by it, but I really learned from it. Why am I trying to create a course in a niche I do not own? And I do not own, or I do not have any authority in. So that's something to think about, guys. When you create a video or a series of videos that begin to take off, I would really urge you, especially if you are an entrepreneur, creative entrepreneur, small to medium sized business, to think about like if you could potentially turn that into a course. Now, I have a future live stream to really go deep into courses, what I have learned, the digital products as well as courses, how I was able to succeed, is that you really want to make sure you identify there's a need. And the easiest way, once again, is to start putting out YouTube videos or video content, even in social media. Look at what people are looking for. There, obviously, I mentioned YouTube videos, YouTube shorts. Shorts are great because it takes, it's less than a minute, even 15 seconds. You can begin to gauge people on what they need. And then from there, you can also study in the Reddit community, Facebook groups. You can also research on Answer the Public. Sorry, Answer the Public. That is a great tool. A lot of people don't use on a regular basis, which I do. So you can then think about to create courses in a genre that you already have an audience built in. So I did that, for instance, on Skillshare after I have several takeoff videos on YouTube related to fitness and dance instructors and their entrepreneurship journey. A lot of them probably didn't even opt in to be an entrepreneur, but because the gyms closed, they have to very quickly build their online presence. And that course also took off. When I say that, I mean right now there are about 500 people involved between my dance fitness courses as well as my basically called How to Become a VA Virtual Assistant for Podcasters course. All right. So, and yes, sir, there's a question, Thorsten Kramer. You don't have to know all about you. You learn by doing and share your experiences. Exactly. So that is something, thank you so much for calling it out. You do not have to be the expert, number one expert. I mean, how many people can really say that, right? Things are changing all the time. You don't have to be an absolute expert with all the badges of honor before you can create content. In fact, Kramer, one thing I was thinking about is that there are a lot of people who are able to learn quickly and become a teacher. I actually found myself in that position and I enjoyed it very much. I would, remember last year in the US, there was the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment System Program. I read up all the articles. Of course, I wasn't an expert, but I started creating YouTube videos. And knowing myself, very recently, I started trying to learn about NFT because, frankly, the reason why I wanted to avoid it, this whole, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, I just want to avoid it at all costs, is because every time I turn on my YouTube channel, there's always a guy with like fake tan, big muscles telling you how to live your life and all that. I would just like, I want to be as far away from it as possible. So remember that you don't have to be an expert. You can use your voice, your own energy, your own style to deliver a piece of information that it's different than somebody else maybe has done it. And that's what I really believe in. And so remember to teach what you know, remember to learn quickly and to be able to share what you have learned. And that not only helps other people, but helps you to learn even more. Yeah. And also remember that you can always teach through stories. Thanks again. And Thorsten. So, yeah, you can always teach through telling a story. And the storytelling part is not to be you cannot undermine the effectiveness of that. I remember there's one rare video where I talked about going gluten free and being someone who never thought like I would be sensitive to gluten. I grew up eating a lot of that, even though I've always sort of had a stomach issue. Just kind of ignored it. There's so certain pride and convenience. I don't want to be the person who can't go to the restaurant anymore. I have to pull out like a gluten free soy sauce. And but learning that and being able to adopt a gluten-free diet has completely changed my life. And I did this video on YouTube. I started with saying, hey guys, I know you're here for some tech tutorial, Zoom or live stream. You can just simply skip this one. But let me tell you my story. To my surprise, even though that video today probably altogether has fewer than 500 views, there's so many people who commented below to say, oh my God, I wish that I wish I knew that. I wish it takes so much longer to actually reduce all the gluten sensitivity symptoms. Because for me, I was like, I give her 2 weeks. I don't care. And I tried them many times, but not until I had 60 days. And for my other friend, Sean, who took about 80 to 90 days to really see the huge transformation. Same thing for YouTube, right? You can't just publish one video to think that's going to take off and whether to evaluate if the journey is worthwhile. For YouTube, it should be around 6 months to a year. 6 months is really when you're really learning. But I would say if you want to give it a shot, that's a 1 year journey and it's worth it. So wonderful. All right. Mark, I'll definitely look out for your message here on Instagram and what advice on getting on YouTube. Fantastic. I'm also an email person for anybody who's watching right now. My email is hello@feisworld.com. I know I'm old school. And so, yeah, Thorsten said the most important thing is to have passion for what you do, what you want to talk about. And that's right. The authentic self will come through. If you want to talk about something, that certainly will come through. And to a certain degree, you can also be an actor and for more or less right now, how I try to really put my authentic self forward. But funny thing is tomorrow, guys, if you have time, please join me 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow with Mark Bowden, who's an expert in body language. And I watched his video. If you're not going to join me tomorrow, watch his TED Talk on YouTube on his own channel that has like, I think over nearly 3 million views, probably more elsewhere on TED. But he talks about how important it is to be inauthentic, which means what is my authentic self? I probably wouldn't be doing this 30-day live. I probably wouldn't just, try to at least brush my hair, not wear pajamas and, sit there and have lunch for the next hour. That's what my authentic self wants to do. But I have to really put up the ring light and just show up for this because I made a promise. With that said, right, you have to do what works for you. The reason is, most of us are indifferent to one another. I see faces here and I see some of you on a daily basis. I cannot begin to tell you how much I appreciate you. And I start to build our relationship. And that's what I really want. I'm here to help people and to hear stories that we can lead a life of abundance without having to be an overnight success. And what a pity it is for us to create something and have to quit after 6 months, a year, knowing that the next day, next week, next year could actually be the game changer. What does it mean? It could mean that you can actually finally drop out of your full-time job. Could means you maybe you can work just half time so you can spend more time with your family. For me, that means that I can bring my mom on a weekly basis to her physical therapy sessions and to be there with her, translate for her, watch her getting better, as she gets older, preparing her and her body for the best state possible. For me to be there at all the doctor's appointment for her, and for me to be there for myself, my mental health and all that. So, there is a lot that you can learn from starting this creative journey and really sticking to it. Um, so Mark asked, like, what time of the day do you go live? And this is part of my 30-day life journey. So it's always the same every single day at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific time. And I know you're in Australia, and I always have trouble. I always have trouble. So I was syncing up with my Australian clients. It's challenging. I believe it's probably super early for you in the morning, but you can also rewatch these live videos. I'd much rather engage with people live, but I also don't mind if you watch the live videos and then comment on the video the next day. It's all on my Instagram's landing page. If you're on Instagram, if you're elsewhere on, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, the videos are there to stay. But the opportunity for me to engage with people live is just phenomenal, frankly. And so yeah, absolutely. And I always forget what I'm supposed to talk about the next day. But tomorrow is going to be a very special interview with Mark Bowden. So what else is there to talk about related to YouTube growth? It certainly requires patience, and just remember, please, people really. I mean, as embarrassing as it is, I grew up with this like fear when I was younger. I used to get like every time I get stressed, I get a cold sore on my lip, and I'm so embarrassed. I used to be kind of made fun of like in school somehow. It turns out a lot of people are actually immune to it, but only like something like 3 out of 10 people ever have the symptoms visible to other people. I'm like, well, this is something that is kind of in my psyche for a long time. And when I started the YouTube journey, even when I was like developing those popular videos back in these days, probably like once a year. And I remember I had this like really bad outbreak on my lips last year. And I said, you know what? After this, I'm doing it. So it was so obvious. Doesn't matter what camera I use. And I was so not going to go in and correct that. And not a single person mentioned what's going on. Everybody was asking me questions related to, oh, Zoom audio, video, how to do this. Like not a single person commented or made fun of me because of the cold sore. So again, if you have any imperfection you have, in fact, I have to say that these days, a lot of people on YouTube are really celebrating, really embracing things that they're really worried to share, were hesitant to share. I am now following a lot of channels to talk about like, disability, illness, even terminal illness, and watching people kind of live their lives. It's just so inspiring. So please know that there's no boundaries to that. There's something in your life you want to share because somebody has benefited from your content. Even that one person, it goes a long way. So it is 7:27 a.m. on Monday here in Sydney. That is pretty early, but I'm really glad that it's not like too early. Somebody can still tune in at 7 in the morning while enjoying their cup of tea, coffee. That is lovely. And absolutely, Mark, it's my pleasure. Thank you for tuning in. So I think that's enough ramble that goes on today. I would say that one thing that you may be wondering, I don't know if you are, oh, here's your message from Malcolm. I've always heard that it takes years to be an overnight success. You already know this. Oh my God, isn't that true? It is so true, guys. I wish mass media just not stop completely, will never stop completely on spotlighting, people who has had the overnight success, because that's always a good story. Even I have stories like that, talking about the takeoff videos, talking about like how I made $25,000 buying all the stocks from City Sports before they went out of business. But yeah, in general, for you to live this and really live through your content creation, your creative entrepreneurship journey, it is a long game, definitely. And some people ask me, what does it mean? Like 2 weeks, 2 months? No, longer than that. So it is also not, by the way, it's not about repeating the same patterns or same success. You create one product, you have another product that smells and looks just like the previous one. Is it going to really take off? Not necessarily. So success is not always repeatable. Often than not, it's not repeatable. So I will see you guys back here at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Mark Bowden. I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am of that, about body language in person as well as in the virtual space. You will not regret it. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. And with that said, I will end the stream on Instagram and I will see you guys later. Bye. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Anybody on Twitter ever?